Now, Ryan, part three. If it dies again, I'm done. If it dies again, I'm walking away. I'm not gonna start it back up again. Hey Tom, I'm walking away before I end up punting it across the room. I'm a pretty patient guy, but I'm losing my patience quickly. So yeah, instead of designing because it's doing this, because it's frustrating. I mean, it restarts, but you restart it, you open up Blender again, you get another 20, 30 minutes worth of work, half an hour, hour into it, whatever, and it does it again, and then you got to wait for it to restart, reopen the program. You've lost any kind of groove you were in whatsoever. Gone. So I look forward to when I put this mess behind me. Because it's gonna happen. Because I mean, Blender is gone now with that shutdown. So if I would have been working on something, now I got to reopen Blender, reopen where and whatever. Even if it was just a few minutes worth of stuff since the last time I saved, it's gone, lost it. And it's hard to stay in any kind of creative flow when that kind of stuff is happening. And so maybe this can be the takeaway from this three-part stream today. Is try to keep plugging along. Do the best you can. You know, I'm not gonna let this defeat me. And so, whatever's standing in your way, don't let it defeat you either. Whether it's inexperience with the program, whether it's um, just lack of overall skill, the skill will come. The skill will come with more seat time. Everything can be, you know, nothing is insurmountable. Let's put it that way. Nothing is insurmountable. We can overcome any of this. Right now, hardware is my problem, and I will overcome it. And when I do, we'll get back to rocking and rolling. Until then, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be paddling upstream. You know. Um, oh, I know, Joe. I appreciate it, man. And I've had several people offer. Mike Whaley offered some help, and so did Tom. Um, and I appreciate those offers. I do, but I hate to ask for any external help right now when I know my solution is so close. I'm right there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's right there in front of me, and so I'm gonna get there. I am. I've got it taken care of. I would hate to, have somebody send me something and then use it for 2 weeks and say thanks, but I'm not going to use it anymore because I'm still either way here in well, I guess a month. I got to make it through this month, and a new computer is coming. I know, Tom, and I appreciate that, man. I do. But again, it's a month, man. I don't want to see anybody go through anything extra of expense, time, any of that for an issue that's going to be solved in a month. Because a month from now, this thing's going in my garage. So, I already backed up. The only files that aren't backed up is the stuff I worked on yesterday. And I'll back that up today. And at worst case scenario, I have the stuff I did yesterday was all done, and I have no, oh, Terry, welcome back. Sorry, man, I'm having some serious computer issues. I used to do some animation back in my 3ds Max days, but I no longer have 3ds Max. I haven't tried animation in Blender yet. Ed Papos Projects on here, he's done a couple little videos on some Blender animation, which were cool, which were good. I'd like to get into some of it at some point, maybe make a cool channel intro of my own, rather than the one I purchased from Render Forest. And using some of my vehicles and stuff like that, and I may get into that at some point. Again, all that stuff is a little later down the line. Yeah, I've heard Blender is great for animation. Blender is kind of a all-encompassing 3D suite. Really, you can, you can do box modeling and spline modeling, and you can do sculpting. You can do animation. You can do video rendering. The 2.8 beta, I played with it on one of the streams, but this computer will not handle it. It was very chunky and slow, and had a hard time with it. I don't know if it's the video card's not up to the task or the A6 processor is not up to the task. But it was not. This computer was not up to the task. So that's again. I get the new computer, I'm probably going Blender 2.8 and staying on Blender 2.8. Since I know that's the future, I might as well get used to using it, and that way, again, it goes back to the seat time thing. There are some differences, but once I spend a little time in the seat, it'll be a non-issue. So again, those are things that will be changing as soon as I change out the studio computer here, because it's done. It's to say it's on its last leg and that one's trembling. So Terry, welcome back, and I'm sorry for all of the problems. I will have my hardware issues solved in approximately 1 month, and hopefully you stick around with us through all that. I will keep trying and keep plugging away, and I will keep paddling upstream, as it were, to keep going. And if this gets much worse, I can fall back on my old computer. This one was the upgrade for, because my old computer's at least stable. It doesn't stream very well. I'll have to bump down my stream quality considerably and all that, but it at least doesn't shut off on me every 30 minutes. Yeah, and I give my son crap because I bought him a new laptop for Christmas, and right now he's got the best computer in the house. His laptop's it's a Ryzen 5 with the Vega 11 graphics in it, and it's only 8 gigs of RAM. But I bought it on one of those Cyber Monday deals that Walmart.com had for $300. It was insane, and it works brilliantly. It plays games and everything. I'm like, man. It's like, why couldn't I have found a deal like that on a desktop for me? Because I would take a Ryzen 5 with the Vega 11 graphics for $300 all day. Yeah, Don, part 3. See, I'm not giving up. Although I did say at the beginning of this one, for those who missed it, I shouldn't say if it dies again, when it dies again. When it dies again, I'm done. We've been at this for an hour. So we did get an hour's worth of streaming in if we broke it up over 3 videos. Um, yeah, never let the computer win. Well, the computer's going to win until I replace it. I'm going to replace it in a month. In a month. We're just waiting for that almighty royalty check. BMI time. My quarterly payment comes in March. Like I said, I could go buy a computer right now, but I would eat up my reserves that help get me through February, because February is the leanest time of the year for musicians in Nashville. Um, I have a cushion, and that cushion makes sure I can pay my bills if I have a couple bad weeks. But I had a really good week last week for February. Really good week for February. So, and February's almost half over. So I get through my anniversary, which is in 2 days. In 2 days, I will have been married on Valentine's Day. I will have been married for 18 years. And I'll probably end up using a little bit of that cushion money to treat the wife right on our 18th anniversary. And then if this is becoming too tough a sledding, then I'll spend the rest of that cushion and just go buy that Ryzen 5 machine for it's like $650. And just be done with it. Just be done with it. The Ryzen 5 with a Radeon 560 or 570, I don't remember what it was. It was a 4 gig card, maybe it was a 580. The Radeon, yeah, I think it was a 580. And a Ryzen 5, it'll do everything I need it to do. It will. It won't be as future proof. We'll be, having this discussion again in 4 or 5 years rather than 10 years. I'll have to check that out. Thanks for the heads up, Terry. I'll Google that later and watch that video. Yeah, I get knocked down. That's right. But I will keep coming back, one way or another. So if it becomes too frustrating, I'll fix this after my anniversary on the 14th. If I can make it till March, then I'll fix it the right way. Morning, Vince. I am a country singer. I'm a country singer-songwriter here in Nashville. And, well, I live in Clarksville, but I play down on Broadway in Nashville 5-6 days a week, and make my living out of a tip jar. And this is not the time of year to make your living out of a tip jar. February sucks for tourism. But that's just playing on Broadway. That's making my living. Ultimately, the goal is to write songs for other people that they cut and put out on their albums and on the radio and make money that way. Oh, good, Don. I hope your scooter gets funded, man, and you get that all sorted out too. But yeah, I'll get this solved. I'll get through it. Just like I'll eventually get the TiVo Tornado sorted out and the Ender 2 sorted out. I will win. I will make things make things happen. So yeah, Terry, I guess I was showing this to you when the stream died the first time. And this is fully 3D printed tank treads, designed in Blender from scratch. Didn't take anybody's parts for anything. It's got a threaded little threaded rod here and a bolt for a tensioner. When you turn that, you increase the tension on the treads. So it keeps the tension on the treads wherever you desire it, how tight you need it. And then the treads articulate and roll well over the wheels. And eventually I will get the rest of the tank done to go with this and not just sit and play with half the tank tread. I have the other half almost printed, but I broke a few more than I wanted to break when I was trying to put it together, put the treads together, so I'm short a few links. So I need to print a few more links, a tread, and then I will have this side done as well. I also need to print enough to replace the red section. The red section on this tread was my prototype tread. And as you can see, this tank is going to be large. Not Ivan Miranda large, mind you. And I keep thinking my Patreon supporters will end up having this thing done before I will, because I keep, you know, as I go, I've been releasing files to them as I get them done. Right now, I haven't released any of the body files for the tank because they're all set up for, right now, set up for a large format machine. It requires something like the CR10S4. You know, you'd need a 400 by 400 build volume to print some of the pieces because they're huge. So that's on the to-do list, is to cut them down into parts that can be reconfigured or put together afterwards, and printed in multiple pieces and then press fit together, maybe glued. I've seen a lot of RC tanks. I haven't seen the RC A10 go against the tank, though. I'm sure that's easy enough to Google and find. But yeah, you know, we're gonna keep plugging away. We'll get this sorted out. We'll get the hardware issue sorted out, and I have a feeling once I'm on stable, good working, you know, hardware again, that I'll be able to start plowing forward the way I was before, where I'm cranking out designs constantly. So we're starting 2019 a little rough, but we're gonna get it. You know, we're gonna get there. My 1 year anniversary on YouTube will come up next month. It'd be cool to have the new computer in place for that. Walter just celebrated his 1 year anniversary, but you know, he's went through a lot of changes on his channel. He got a few more subscribers than I've gotten in a year, but you know, he's doing a more generalized content. My 3D designing in Blender is such a narrowed down, niche focused deal. I didn't expect, you know, big subscriber numbers. I have a Discord server. Terry, I have a Discord server, but I use it as a means for my Patreons. The Patreon supporters. So my patrons get access to the Discord server because that's where they download the STL files for pre-released models. Because as I'm designing stuff, even before it's done, when it's still being beta tested and whatnot, I release the STL files to my patrons so that they can print it along with me, and then they get exclusive access for a set period of time before I put it on Thingiverse. These large sections of tread are kind of fun to play with. Which, speaking of patrons can print this out if they want and play with it. It's been up for a while for them. They can print all this stuff out, just none of the body for the tank yet. But as much time as it takes to print all this tread and assemble it, I think even if someone started printing the tread today, it's going to take them a few weeks before they'd be ready for and going, where's the body at? Unless they have like, you know, Nearest printers and have like 80 printers where they can print all the tread they need and all the parts, you know, all at once. Even then, it takes some time to assemble. Yeah, I will watch that, man. I will. That sounds cool. I will enjoy that. Which, the tread for this side, because I haven't completed it, I haven't worked it in as well as the tread for the other side. It's still got some that are stiff. And anybody who at some point in time prints this, just know when you first put it together, the tread's a little stiff and you got to work it in. But once you get it mounted to the wheels and stuff, and then it's a lot easier, because then it's you know, you get it put under the proper amount of tension and then just roll it and it'll work itself in. Hey TK. So, yeah, I mean, you guys have seen, you know, most of you guys have seen this. I was just mainly showing Terry because he's new. So, some of y'all are probably tired of watching me play with this same set of tank tread. They roll really well, TK. And I've got everything but a few links of tread printed for the other side. So, this tank is fairly large. Not Ivan Miranda large, but large. I was really pleased with how this came out, though. And it was one of those you pat yourself on the back kind of moments, knowing that you designed all this from scratch. You know, all of this started with a cube in the middle of a screen in Blender. And it's a matter of just putting in the seat time, figuring out how stuff works, and doing it, and coming up with an idea and executing it. Every once in a while the gears do bind up just a little, but not too bad. I think it'll all be better and more stable once the vehicle is together and the weight of the vehicle is sitting on it and helping to keep things lined up. But it's a heck of a lot better in the for me than the old school GI Joe vehicles that they used to just print the tread as one solid piece, and they put those little tiny wheels just seated in the bottom of the solid tread that didn't articulate at all. So I was like, I don't want that for my toy tank. I thought about doing that for a while when I was having trouble with the treads. But then I decided, no, I'm going to keep at this until I figure out how to make it work. The drive gear was 7 iterations. The large and small bogey wheels, got those on the first try because the drive gear was the hard part. Once the drive gear was made, the bogey wheels are just the drive gear without the gear splines. And then the smaller bogey wheels are just a reformatted larger bogey wheel. Just shrunk everything down but the axle hole. Then the other big challenge was the tensioner, which I guess you see the tensioner better on this one without the treads in the way. Which is just a 3D printed threaded rod that this nut threads onto. And as you turn the nut, it presses out on this arm here. And pressing out on that arm puts tension on the tread. Yeah, it was kind of a barbaric way to solve that without, using springs and things like a real tank would. But I figured it works, You got the threaded rod, you turn the nut pushes out on the arm, which in turn slides this wheel back, which in turn puts pressure on the tensions the tread. Which right now, I actually probably need to push the tensioner in so I know closer, which I may need to modify this a little bit because it sticks. You can see right now it's stuck even without the tensioner in place. It's holding itself where it needs to be. So I mean, I need to probably pull that out of there, file that down a little bit, or just reprint it and increase the tolerance on it a little bit. But then it will still press it out. It just requires more force. I'll definitely have to do an assembly guide for the tank. But I need to do an assembly guide for all my stuff. I need to go back and start with the VSV, since it's the one that's been out there the longest. I'm probably not going to go back and revisit much on the very first vehicles I did, the step van or the bus or the military transport, just because I have changed so much that they almost don't make sense anymore. And maybe that's a project for the future as well, is to update them to the more current axles and wheels and all that. That's interesting. Welded a nub on the side of their tank to knock the track pins back into the tracks. That's interesting. Which I think I need to reprint that drive gear, because it's, or maybe that's because this taken some abuse. I need to redo the tensioner on this. But that's why we beta test. That's why we, design it, print it, test it. If it doesn't work, iterate the design, print it again, try it again. We don't give up. Well, I was going to try designing stuff, but it seems like the computer did not want to play well with me today, and here we are. We're, an hour and a half in now. We're an hour and a half in now, almost. I'm going to go ahead and call it because I don't see anything productive getting done in the last half hour just because of the cooperation of the computer. But we'll get this solved. We'll get the hardware stuff taken care of, and I think once the hardware stuff is taken care of, the creative funk I've been in, I think will right itself. We'll get back into moving ahead with designs. Terry Davis, if you're still there, thank you for joining us today. A new face. Throw likes and subs and all that kind of stuff if it's content that you're looking forward to seeing get better, because I'm looking forward to seeing it get better. And sorry for all of the technical difficulties we've had today, guys. We'll get her sorted out, and we'll get back on track very soon. Thank you guys for stopping by. We'll try this again next week. I'm sure I'll have to struggle and fight with it unless I just, like I said, I get mad and go buy that Ryzen 5. But thank you guys. You're awesome. We will see you next time. And keep designing, keep creating, and we'll see you on down the road.